Hey, how's it going, YouTube? How y'all doing today? I called the sale barn yesterday, right when they opened, just about right when they opened. They told me I made like something like $7,350 after commissions on those 4 red steers that I took in. This next week, I was gonna take in my the rest of these some of these high dollar steers. I got this one right here. I got that black white face one right there. I got a black one. But I'm thinking maybe this time I will take in my heifers instead, like that one, this one. I know she's not gonna really she's just real short. She's an Angus, but she's one of them low line Angus animals, and so I think she'll still do okay. But she probably just won't weigh very much. And then I got that one right there. Oh wait, no, that's the boy. But I got a red Angus around here somewhere. A small frame little red Angus heifer. And then I may oh, this was the animal that was sick yesterday. He's doing all better now. You can tell him right there. He's eating now. This is one of the animals that he eats so much that it actually sometimes I have to push him off of the feed. And so when he doesn't eat like that for 2 meals in a row, and his gut's sucked in, and he's obviously hungry and he's not eating, something very wrong. And so I gave him that shot yesterday. Oh man, but this animal right here, he probably about 550 pounds. And I grabbed him yesterday, and I was like, you know what, I can do this. And I took him to the ground, and when I took him to the ground, he landed straight on top of me. It's been a long time since I've wrestled a calf, since I've wrestled an animal. And I grabbed him by the head, and he pushed me back. But I had like a needle in my pocket. I had a syringe with a needle in my pocket. And so I didn't want to land on it and stick myself in the leg. And so I was like trying to position myself to not land on it. And when I positioned myself like that, my legs got underneath him and he landed on top of me. And that was a little bit unfortunate. That knocked the wind out of me, and he got out of it. So I actually ended up just having to put him back, put him up in the chute. I put him up in the chute and I gave him the shot, and now he's doing all better. He's eating again. I'm just glad I didn't get hurt yesterday. But this is a very kind of a tame animal. He's like a Holstein cross. He probably not going to make much money. I need to take him to market too, but he's not going to really make much money. But he very tame, and so when I fell, he didn't try and kill me or anything. But yep, this one I gotta take him to market too. He's probably not gonna make much money. This is probably my most plain animal right here. In terms of the most plain animal that I have is probably him. And then I have a little bottle heifer that I raised, and she's just very short. I think this is her right here. She not bad looking. She's just extremely short. Is this her? I think this is her right here. But I have a little bottle calf heifer that I was raising. But she's so short that she's kind of just so small that I can't even tell the difference between her and my black Angus heifers at this point. The black Angus heifers that I brought in, the Siete Senoritas, the 7 black heifers that I brought in, I can't even tell the difference between her and the 7 black heifers anymore, because she's just grown that slowly. The heifers are pretty much as big as her at this point already, maybe just a little bit smaller. I think that this is her right here, and maybe she weighs somewhere like she's about a year old, and I would say maybe she weighs 550. If I was very fortunate, she would weigh 600, and she's about well, I guess when I really think about it, I brought her in as a bottle calf. When I brought her in, I had to stick a bottle in her mouth. I actually had to stick a tube down her throat, and that's why I call her Tuber. That's why I named her Tuber. Was because when I first brought her in, she wasn't eating feed and she was freaking out. And on the second day, I stuck a tube down her throat and gave her bottle formula, and it saved her life. But one thing that I learned is to never ever tube an animal with milk. Just don't do it. The animals, when they drink milk, if they're going to drink milk, they have a stomach called the abomasum, and it's different. So the abomasum is called the milk stomach, and the milk stomach has an enzyme in it that curdles milk, so it causes milk to curdle, so it slows the digestion of the milk, and so they're able to digest the milk properly. But the only way for these cattle to push anything into the abomasum, into the milk stomach, is if they suckle. So when they suckle, the brain sends an impulse to the esophagus and says, close the esophagus, we need to access the abomasum. And so when the animal suckles, they will close a flap in their esophagus, and it will allow whatever is going down their esophagus to go into their abomasum, and that is how they are able to drink milk as well as eat solid feed. It's not digested by the same stomach, and so the animal needs to be suckling to be able to digest milk properly. If the milk goes into their true stomach, that is a big problem. But stuff like that, I didn't know when I first started, and I just thought she was gonna die, so I grabbed her and I stuck a tube down her throat and gave her bottle formula. But this animal, you know, there are other ways to make them suckle a bottle. I tried to get her to suckle a bottle, and she was freaking out so bad that she wouldn't do it. But you can put some corn syrup, from my understanding, you can put some corn syrup, something sweet, on the nipple of the bottle, and they'll start suckling it then. But I do have some high dollar heifer calves here, and I think that they just need to put on some more weight. They really just need to put on some more weight. The more weight I put on them, the less risk I take in terms of losing money on them. And so I bought them for a high dollar, and I'm looking to sell them for a high dollar. And if I'm looking to make my money back on all the feed that I put in them and everything, I would need to take them to a little bit of a higher weight. I would think right now I would get maybe 235 a pound on these Black Angus heifers. Maybe I'd get 235 a pound. They're probably about 400 pounds. I'd probably get about 235 a pound on them, and they're probably about 400. So maybe I'd get about $900 on them. But I bought them for $740 a piece. And I've had to put them on feed. They've only really been on grass for about a month. The first month that they were here, I had them on grass, but after that, it's just been horrible. It's been real dry. It's been real hot, and it's just been the grass is just died. So I still haven't been able to grow any grass yet. But here in a couple weeks, I would think I'm going to get my opportunity to do so again. But yesterday, I was taking a look around, and I got in contact with this man who is looking to give up one of his leases, one of his grazing leases, and it's a 240 acre field. And what he told me was that this 240 acre field is owned by an investment company, and the only thing that they are looking for is somebody who is capable of farming it, because their biggest concern with the piece of property is having somebody that they know will upkeep their agricultural tax exemption. So they don't care about the money. What they want is somebody who's going to keep the property tax exempt. So that's their biggest concern with the property. And so when it comes to actually finding people who are capable of farming 240 acres, and that will do it, because some people, they are capable of farming 240 acres, but they don't want to spend the time to do it. They're not driven to do so. Some people, they can't do it. There is almost zero chance that they can do it, and they are driven to do so. And so to find the balance, to find somebody who is driven to do so, and to find somebody who is capable of doing it, I mean, you know, 240 acres is a good chunk of land. But, well, I told myself that, well, it's not okay. So if I did get this 240 acre lease, the only thing that I would really be wanting to do on it is I would be looking to grow hay on it, because I wouldn't want to put cattle on that piece of property, because the property's about an hour away. I'd have to take about an hour to go up there. It's where I bought this hay from. It's in that area where I bought this hay from, and it's also that same area where they sell commodity corn. It's about an hour away. And so if I had cattle over there, I'd realistically only be able to go up there about once a week. But the good thing is that the the piece of land is right next to the co-op that I purchased commodity fertilizer from. It's right next to that commodity yard, and it's also pretty close to a local. Oh well, it's actually right next to the sale barn that sells preconditioned cattle, and so there are a few benefits to it. But I still would not run cattle on it, because the thing is that like let's say something like this happened again, where I got an animal that just suddenly develops BRD, and the animal develops BRD, and I don't get to him until a week later. Well, if I showed up a week later, the animal would probably already be dead. I wouldn't have been able to do anything for the animal. And so that's the thing about cattle for me, is that cattle is not a passive. It's not like passive money. It's not like set it and forget it. You have to really work the cattle every single day. Probably twice a day. You know, I have to come out here and take a look at these animals and make sure that they're eating enough and everything twice a day. But if I got that field, I would be willing to grow hay on it. And also if the cattle got out, that would be a big problem. But I would be willing to grow hay on it. And the thing about hay is that if I was going to grow 100 acres of hay, I could grow that on a line of credit, and it would only cost me about $5,000. And so to grow 100 acres of hay, to fertilize it, to seed it, and do everything, it would cost about $5,000. And the bank will give me $5,000 for $50 a month. So, oh, excuse me, it's not 50. It's oh yeah, it is $50,000. Or it's $5,000, and it would cost me $50 a month. So if I paid $50 a month, the bank would give me the money, and I could farm. I could plant 100 acres of hay. So if I multiply that by 2, if the bank gives me $10,000, I pay the bank $100 a month. I go and I grow 200 acres of hay. I sell the hay, pay the bank back, then keep whatever's left over, or sell it for profit. And you know, I could do it that way. And I ran the numbers on it. And if I grow hay, and I call someone in to bale it, and then I call someone in to haul it for me, haul it over here for me, it would cost about $100 a ton. It would cost about $100 a ton. But the thing about hay is that the animals, you see how all this grass, all this hay on the floor, the animals throw it all over the place. And so I have to consider that too. And when I consider that, you know, and I say there's a 30% loss to it, I would be paying maybe about $130 a ton, somewhere about $140 a ton, depending. But I probably have to use a little bit more fertilizer, so it'd probably cost me, I would say, $150 a ton is a safe budget. If I had budgeted $150 a tonnage of hay, that would be pretty accurate. That would be within a margin of, if anything, it would turn out to be a little cheaper. But if I just budgeted $150 a ton, that would make sense. But the thing about paying $150 a ton for hay is that if I grew it myself, is that I'd have to grow it myself, but I can also fill up my shipping container full of commodity corn for $215 a ton delivered. And so, well, I know that it is substantially cheaper. The $150 is substantially cheaper than $215. But I mean, I'll have to think about it. But I'm gonna go and meet the man on Sunday. But realistically, if I had 50 acres that I could run cattle on, I could make more money on that 50 acres running cattle myself in my backyard than I could growing grass on 250 acres. If I grew hay on 250 acres. Well, but I told myself the big reason that I would still be willing to go through with this was because 250 acres of hay will always be important to me. It will always be of value to me. Because especially if I'm going to run cattle, there are times when the price of cattle plummet and the cost of feed go exponentially higher. Whenever there's a severe drought or anything like that, severe supply chain issues, the price of the cattle will tank and the cost of the feed will skyrocket. And that's when something like this goes underwater severely. So if somebody just has cattle on feed like this, they just put feed out in front of cattle. When things are going good, the work may look easy, but when things go bad, whenever there's a situation that causes the price of cattle to go down and the cost of feed to go up very, very fast in unison, a business like this, I mean, you're gonna start hemorrhaging money. I mean, it's gonna be real bad. You're gonna lose so much money. I mean, it will be horrible. And so that's the thing. I said, you know, 240 acres of hay, it'll always be valuable to me. Whether I farm it today, tomorrow, 10 years, 15 years, 25 years, if I take that 250 acre lease, I don't have to pay anything for it. I don't, they'll let me farm it for free. But I have to farm it to such a degree that the state allows the property to stay property tax exempt. And so that's the trade-off. And so I would have to be over there farming it probably well, I mean, I can farm, I can plant 200 acres of hay in 2 days. I mean, I can do it. If I really put myself to it, I could do it in 2 days. It ain't a big deal. Yep, that's what's going on today. But that's it for me today, YouTube. Y'all have a good one.